Welcome to Toy Business Unboxed, your gateway to the secrets of the toy industry. Here, Jason Shea, a toy entrepreneur and expert in the field.
Every product we develop is really inspired by some of the real life experience that we have with our son.
60% of all toys last year were sold on Amazon, which is incredible.
Be passionate about it because it's a road, it's a journey.
Like when you have an idea that you think is like gonna somewhat like change the world, make things better, I'd say go for it.
We'll guide you through the enchanting world of toy design, marketing, and manufacturing. Now let the unboxing begin.
Welcome back to another episode of Toy Business Unboxed. Today we have Mark, the CEO of LaCorsa, and he used to be the former VP of product design at Vons as well. And in this episode, we're going to explore his journey from footwear industry into the board game industry and all the different rides he did. He did a successful Kickstarter campaign as well for his brand. And we'll also like to dive into his vision for the brands and also some of the challenges he also faced over the years. So thank you so much for being on our podcast today, Mark.
It's great to be here, Jason. Thank you.
Yeah, so I know you have been spending many years in a different industry before you get into the board game industry, but can you kind of share with your audience what inspired you to shift from like shoes to board game? That sounds like a very different industry.
Yeah, I mean, I think the genesis of that story is I was probably more into this idea of, this project before I started even footwear design. And, this is sort of a passion of mine. I'm a art center graduate in car design. And so, footwear was a great career, but it was something that's always been on the back of my mind to get this idea out and do it in a fun way that kind of, I don't know, as you get into a footwear career and design management, you stop designing and you want to, create something again. And this was an opportunity to do that. So this was really something I've always wanted to do. And now I think it's more about working for myself more than anything. Is like, I'm really enjoying running my own business and, stepping away from helping other businesses succeed.
Yeah, for sure. What year did you make that transition?
So, I mean, I did the Kickstarter kind of in parallel with, my Vans career in 2016, and I left Vans in 2023. So, I was there 25 years. I kind of had done it all, and this was a way to kind of do my own thing.
I see. And I know your whole game design really kind of seemed on Formula One. Can you also talk about your background and like why are you such a huge fan?
Yeah. Well, I'm a car designer. So, Formula One is the pinnacle, I think, of car design in a way.
Yes.
And so I've always been a big fan. I started in the 1980s, the turbo era, just lots of fun. And yeah, it was always something I wanted to do something for. I hadn't seen a lot of really authentic games around Formula One. There's tons of racing games, but one that talks about that world specifically was interesting to me. And, I think watching on TV, we talk about, how LaCorsa is influenced by it, but you see, whenever you watch a race, you'll see the list of positions on the left-hand side and as the order of the cars in the race. And that's really something that I wanted to capture in the game and how difficult it is to move up that chart. And I think that's what the game is all about, is recreating that simple battle for position that you see in a, Formula One weekend.
I see. So for those listener or audience that haven't played your particular game yet, I think you have a copy with you today.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you kind of show how is it being played? What is the rule? What does the gameplay look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little difficult to explain sometimes, but it is quite simple, but it's novel. So and we'll talk about that probably a little bit later when we get to the app, but it's really just a simple board. And if you think about, let's see if I can show it here. It's a simple wood board. It folds out. So, fits nicely in the box.
Yeah.
But the cars basically are battling for track position. So each one of those spaces represents track position. And, mostly it's a card game where you play your cards and that moves the pieces on the board. And the game is not necessarily the checkered finish line. It's about staying in front of your rivals.
I see. How do you win? Do you get points through the game?
Yes, it's a quick game. So you can play in as little as 15 minutes, one race, but I think it's best played as 7 races and you get points for finishing position. So it's the old Grand Prix scoring system. 9, 6, 4, 3, 2, 1 for all the positions in the race. And yeah, there's 6 cars in the race and they each get a championship point allotment for each race. So it's pretty fun over 7 races where you have little dynamic shifts in the competitors' results. And I'll always get quite close finishes actually.
What is a recommended player like?
It's for 2 to 6 players. I think it's probably best played with 3 players, and you operate 2 cars each. So you become your own Formula One team that way.
Oh.
And that's quite dynamic where you're using one car to help another and you achieve the best possible result. And what probably our favorite way to play is with 6 players where they each control one race car, but you divide them up into teams and you kind of have a team dynamic with your playing partner.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So you have like different action car, I assume? So.
Yeah, but they're just it's really just a game of war, honestly, over a track position. There's ways to, break from the pack and move ahead. But generally, you're just trying to start high for qualifying and move your way through the race and finish in first. Sometimes when you're playing with a teammate like that, you'll ask them if they can help you achieve your goal, but you're also totaling up the combined points of the 2 cars. So it makes for a lot of different dynamics. You can race for teams and individual drivers. So you kind of recreate that Formula One teams and drivers championship.
I see. Can you also sabotage other players?
Absolutely. I mean, one of the fun parts about the game is that you're playing head to head for every position. So
I see.
We were just playing last night and, I know there's a particular competitor of mine that's a little bit tougher than the rest. So I play him a little bit differently than I do the rest of the players. It's a little bit like poker. You're kind of bluffing a little bit and you're playing certain guys a little bit tougher than you would the others. Yeah.
I see. Okay. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, I would definitely want to try one of your games on tapes. I haven't tried it myself yet. So let's go back to talk about your Kickstarter experience. What worked for you, and like, are you still launching Kickstarter like this year?
Yeah, I'm not really on the Kickstarter platform as much anymore. I think as people know who have tried it, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. I think it prepares you for business very well. It gets you kind of, dealing with customers and feedback. And it's a fantastic platform, to be honest. But it does require a lot of work. And once you have a fan base, I think it's maybe easier to launch products through your email marketing and your social media marketing. But, it depends how different your product is. We keep launching things that are, work with the LaCorsa game. So that's kind of appeals to our base already. But yeah, it's quite an adventure. I mean, I think I did mine for 30 days, which I don't even know if that's the recommended length anymore. I've seen shorter ones now. But, you're addressing issues every day and making sure that your followers and your supporters are taken care of. So, and it's, I think it's a great feedback loop in that sense. The one thing I've learned from Kickstarter was you need marketing for that too.
Yeah.
It's a great marketing vehicle, but you got to come in prepared. You have to come in with, a nice base of fans already that are into your idea before you even launch. So, our first campaign failed. And then it was on the second launch that we tailored the campaign, but we also had that installed base a little bit better, which led to our success.
I think if it's become so competitive, you really need to have a pre-launch strategy. Otherwise, it's not going to go very well.
I mean, this was 2016. And of course, a lot has changed with the platform. But yeah, I think in general, for business, you can't underestimate marketing at any stage in the game. Whether you're going on Kickstarter or where you're doing social media, it requires a lot of work, a lot of effort, because people they haven't heard about you. Every time I'm worried about the business, it's because we're not getting the word out well enough.
Yeah. So on the marketing side, just to follow up, what are some of the strategy that's working well for the brand?
Well, I think, we really launched our business in 2020 during the pandemic.
Okay.
We started doing paid ads on Meta. So, initially more Facebook. Now I think it's more Instagram is kind of where our followers are. But that really launched the business for all intents and purposes, where we're going to need to order more games. So that was kind of a nice feeling. And our strategy hasn't changed that much. We have advertised on ESPN during Formula One races.
Wow. Okay.
Just in local markets, but just to kind of test and do a little bit of brand marketing and help our authenticity and our connection to the sport. I would say now, that's not a great return on investment. So we probably don't do it as much anymore, but it is fun to have an ad during a race weekend. It feels pretty good. Yeah.
I see. It's hard to track, I feel like, because I'm so used to digital marketing the new way. The TV ads is pretty hard to track, like the performance.
It's hard to track, and it's a changing landscape as well. So there's streaming apps. Is it YouTube TV? Is it cable? There's too many ways, that it's too scattered. So you're not really getting a good good imprint, in my opinion, especially if you're not spending, thousands and thousands of dollars. I think it's a little bit harder to have an impact. But yeah, I think a lot needs to be sorted out in that industry and consolidated before it really is a good idea for small companies. That's my opinion, my limited knowledge of it, but I think that's kind of our perspective from a brand point.
Yeah, I agree. Unless you have big budget, you just don't have like enough data to really make a
Yeah.
difference. Whereas like the meta ad is a little bit more nimble. You can start with $20 a day.
Yeah,
That's,
exactly.
you know,
That's
it's-
exactly what we did is like, oh, this
Yeah.
is curious, let's try this. And, and then you start, oh, maybe I should have a professional, manage this. And that's really where we saw a lot of success initially.
I see. And I also want to go back to the design of your product, because if you have one of the pieces with you, then so people.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
I
these
think
are
your
the-
design is very unique compared to some other board games.
Yeah, so let's see if we can get this on there. But these are very simple pieces, but they're quite nice. They're shiny and beautiful, like every Formula One car should be. But really, it's it's a simple injection molded piece. But we did concentrate on these parts themselves more than having a million components. Or it's really about the cars. These are sort of an exaggeration of 1960s, Formula One cars, made famous by John Frankenheimer in the movie Grand Prix. They're just like these, simple cigar shapes, really classic. And we do them in all those sort of national racing colors: the British racing green, Italian red, and we got sort of our Japanese racing white as well.
Okay.
So, all the good stuff, they all have meaning. Now we sell, race car sets to expand, the kind of cars that you can race. We've got Papaya Orange coming out next month. That's a reissue, and that's highly anticipated just because McLaren are so popular and winning so much right now. It's like everyone's been waiting for those to be re-released. So we try to engage with Formula One culture in that way, really through the cars and through the beauty of the sport.
I see. Are you also trying to build like your own community around that kind of a sub niche of yours?
Yeah, I think so. We absolutely. I mean, we get race fans. So, the Venn diagram of our consumer is, gamers who are also into Formula One. When we go to trade shows, we kind of see that. We kind of see those people kind of pop up. They kind of come by the booth or our stand and like, you guys keep showing up on my feed. I don't know why. And because you like Formula One, they're like, I'm a huge Formula One fan, so we really connect with those people. And, it's a game that if you're a Formula One fan and you have friends who maybe are not big gamers or even big Formula One fans themselves, it's a game to sort of introduce that kind of racing to them. A fun racing game that you don't have to know a million things about Formula One, but it does capture the spirit in an authentic way.
I see.
That is partly through the design, and I'm a modern design geek, so everything Bauhaus and after is fair game for me to include in this. And, we have like Italian racing posters that were inspiring, some of the card art. The graphic design itself is very minimal and, just very simple and kind of echoes back to all sorts of different, eras in motorsport.
Do you did all the design yourself?
Yeah. Everything's me. So, with that car design background, the forms of the cars were pretty simple for me to execute. As a graphic designer, that's not necessarily my specialty, but I know what I like and, I can produce that. It's super fun. And just being an industrial designer in general, I think leads to, good packaging decisions. It's a very compact game. Everything fits nicely in the box, but you get a lot in that small package.
I see. What has been some of your biggest takeaway running this business now full time?
Well, it's a lot of work, but it's super fun. I mean, it's exactly what I want to be doing with my time. There's a lot of great collaborators that are coming in the next 12 months, and really engaging with partners and in the world of motorsport is, it's a great place to be. I'm stoked to do it. And, I like having fun with my friends. We do a game night or a race night, we call them here at the house, and we film it for content and we test new rules and, make sure everything's running smoothly. But mostly we just have a great time. So that's the key to the business. And from my standpoint, I'm learning lots about logistics and inventory and marketing, especially as I've noted. But it's really about having a good time around, things you're passionate about.
I would like to dive into a little bit more about the game night that you just mentioned and how are you turning that into content. So do you have the camera set up around the table?
A little bit. I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty casual, but we have some lighting set up and, we just get different guys every night. I mean, I think the one issue I have personally is that we've got a bunch of 50-year-old men around the table, and to do other kinds of content, I have to hire outside. But it's nice to have a group of friends that want to be here playing. And we've got a pretty nice setup here. And, my daughter will do a little bit of filming. She has a shot list that she'll go through. I mean, she's only 16, but there's a few shots that we want and we know to get. And, players' reactions and playing cards and, cars moving on the board, they all look super cool. So those are the kind of things we try to capture. But I think the main thing you want to communicate is that, people are having fun playing the game, and having her take the photos allows me to have fun myself and get that captured.
Yeah, that's a very good strategy. I think that's something I would like to share and kind of encourage other people in the industry to create more content, because right now digital marketing content is really the king. Without the content, you couldn't really do much on the market.
Absolutely. And it can be fun too, and with these expansions, we keep adding rules and layers, and it gets a little bit more in depth to real Formula One strategy with pit stops and accidents. But it's good to be testing the gameplay every week and coming up with solutions and adding more. For each race car set, we add a house rule essentially as a track card. So we're constant now that I need all these race car sets. We keep producing new colors. We need a new house rule, every time we launch one. So we're constantly trying to come up with something fun that adds a new wrinkle to the game.
Okay. And I know the one thing we talked about before the interview, you're also exploring like digital platform, like an app. Can you talk a little bit about the app you're
well, it's not an easy process. It's a long development lead time, and not so much a challenge of building the game or making it look right. I mean, I think our graphic design lends pretty well to the way I want the game to look and feel. But we do get a lot of requests for, people wanting to play the game solo, and without a little bit of intelligence to the, opposition cars, it's a little difficult to write rules for that, and it becomes a little bit more random. So an app is a great way to, have just a little bit of game logic built into the AI representation and the cars that you play. But the other thing too is, because LaCorsa is novel in terms of its gameplay, people sometimes get tripped up on how to play exactly and each of the steps, to get started. And an app is great because it leads you through it. It leads you through the gameplay. So you automatically will pick up how to play LaCorsa from the app, which is kind of a problem solver for our own requirements as a business.
So is that going to be like a freemium model where they can download the app for free, but if they want to unlock some feature, they need to pay?
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be a free app. I don't think we'll have ads. It will be supported by race cars, essentially. So you'll get the standard set of cars just like you do in the real game. But if you want to add your own, favorite team's colors and things like that, then those will be in-app purchases. So you can play the game completely without paying, which is, that's where it becomes a tool, I think, that's useful for the business. And if people, respond well to it and want to go deeper, they can. And there's some really great achievements that you can unlock, special cars and some stuff like that. So, if you get a lot of race wins, you get, something a little bit more special that you can race with in the future. One of the big complications with all these things is building, like a way to connect with friends and building a group of players that you can connect with. And that's been the trickiest part of building an app. It really is like having friends, authenticated and everybody joining the game at the same time. Those are kind of complicated issues with apps. And that's partly the reason it's taken a while to develop.
I see. And I think I talked to other guests on the show that also have like a digital version crossover, but it's always a challenge to create that digital version of the game.
Nothing is easy. I mean, we'll see if it really gets better with AI computing. I think that's pretty good for simple apps, but we're talking about, gameplay can be complicated, and even writing, game logic for the cars, for the AI cars is difficult. You really have to think through your game and know exactly how it's played and why people are good at certain things. And eventually we'll be able to build different characters and driving styles for the different AI players. For now, we're just happy that it kind of knows how to play the game and play the appropriate card at the right time. Yeah.
I see. And for our listener that's also interested to have like a digital like version of their games, where do you start? Do you just first reach out to a freelancer that can do app development? Or how do you start?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we started with friends of the game who are programmers. And they were doing it as a side project, which was awesome. And they were great guys, but we just weren't making progress fast enough. You really do need, in my opinion, you need to hire some professionals that know how to spend a lot of time on your app, and, you know, you're going to pay them accordingly, unfortunately. But I think it's worth it if you really want a nice product at the end. And so, you know, you have to go with recommendations, and we found someone through another contact, and it's working out great. So, you know, we're still you know, maybe a couple months away from introducing it, but we're very excited. I think we'll have a good product when we launch.
I see. How long is this process? 6 months, 9 months?
Yeah, they always say it's going to be 6 months, but it's like building a house. I think it's you know, it's usually about double what you think it's going to take. So yeah, I think we're about a year into it now. Very close, but you know, every game is going to have its novel problem that needs to be solved for the developer. You know, for ours, the gameplay wasn't too bad. The logic was a little bit trickier. And, you know, in general, like, it's really about, if you want to create groups of people that can play together regularly, then, you know, and not just against AI, but actually matchmake against other people that are out there, that's a little bit more intensive. Yeah.
Okay. So you're looking beyond, what are some of the next things on your horizon and your roadmap?
Well, I think we're pretty happy where we're at. We're growing really nicely, and we're super excited about this, you know, this holiday season. For next year, we'll continue to release, you know, new sets. I think eventually I'd like to take some of the expansion rules and put them into a basic core game as well. Maybe concentrate on a different era of racing. You know, some time ago, we made 3D printed 70s cars, which were very popular. And I think a different version of the game that maybe is a little bit, you know, has crashes and pit stops to begin with would be good as an introductory set with around a different kind of theme, you know, race car theme, also Formula One, but just a different period. There's so many great periods. I love the Group C cars from the 80s, you know, in endurance racing. So there's a lot of options to take this gameplay and apply it to, you know, similar but different genres of racing. I think for now, that's exciting enough.
I see. Thank you for sharing some of your future plan as well. And as well, kind of wrapping up today's interview, if you have to share one piece of advice with someone that's just getting started within the toys and game industry, what would that be?
So many. You know, I've mentioned marketing quite a bit. Don't ever underestimate it. It's absolutely key to your business. You know, you just have to be patient. I think it's true what they say in terms of, you know, building your business. It really is just step by step. You know, as you learn something every day, you're improving in every aspect of it. And what you build, you continue to build on top of. So it's a layered process. You get your website working well, then you're layering on marketing, you're layering on logistics.
Yeah.
But all the work that you've done in the past is, you know, has got you to where you are now, and you just keep adding to it. And I think that's part of the fun of it. You know, the world's changing pretty fast, but if you're building something solid, you know, it's a great foundation, and it's just bit by bit. You do a little bit every day and you get better.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's all about stacking different strategy, different things you implement. One of the common problem I see talking to some entrepreneurs is instead of stacking, they kind of jump one shiny object to another without fully finish the last one. And that is the mistake you don't want to repeat. You want to make sure the last project actually finish and have a decent implementation to it.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. There's a lot of bright things out there. I mean, you know, we've been very cautious as well, you know, like we're not on Amazon, we're just direct to consumer. We do stuff with Uncommon Goods, and we're on fairs. So we, you know, people can, you know, small game shops and the like can buy us, you know, for wholesale pricing. But we don't really want to get too far ahead of ourselves too quickly. You know, we're building a very steady business, and step by step, I think we continue to see, you know, awesome results, but we don't really want to quite jump ahead. I've seen you probably have too, Jason, where someone will, you know, get a big contract with a Target or something like that. And, you know, those are risky days. You're risking it all to kind of fall through on that. You know, if they withdraw their order, or they, you know, you have another issue like that, you could be in real trouble. So it's better to build a strong foundation and just add things, you know, step by step.
Step by step, for sure. And thank you so much time today, sharing your story, your knowledge, your wisdom, and your journey within the toys and game industry.
Hey, thanks so much, Jason. Yeah, great to talk to you again.
And for our listeners, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We hope you have enjoyed today's conversation and find it insightful and inspiring. If you like what you have heard, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform so you never miss an episode. We really appreciate your support and would love it if you can leave us a review and share the podcast with your friend and colleague. For more resource, tips, and the latest update within the toys and game industry, visit our website at toys-launch.com. Join the conversation and connect with us on social media using hashtag ToyBusinessUnboxed. We'd love to hear your feedback and suggestion for future episodes. Until next time, keep innovating, keep creating, keep bringing joy to toys. This is Jason Shea signing off on the Toy Business Unboxed podcast. We'll see you in the next episode. Thank you so much, everyone.